Hi everyone, welcome to Values. Today we're looking at Summit Therapeutics, and this stock is insane. It's gone up nearly 300% in the last 2 trading days, and that's just mind-boggling because that never really happens that much. So when it does happen, we really want to find out the reason why. And in a way, it happens for biotech sometimes when they make some really big announcements. So what was the big announcement that Summit Therapeutics had? Well, basically they had the Summit this announcement. Summit Therapeutics announced a partners up with Akeso in a deal for up to $5 billion to in-license breakthrough innovative bispecific antibodies. So basically, in simple terms, Summit Therapeutics is so convinced that Akeso has something that is quite good that they're willing to pay them up to $5 billion to license their breakthrough antibody. And if we consider this, right, Summit Therapeutics, after going up nearly 300%, is only worth $620 million. So that's a lot of dilution that they're going to be doing, particularly the fact that they've just announced a $500 million right offering, and they're doing this at $1.05, or the lesser of the weighted average price over a 5-day trading period. It basically meaning that they will not be raising $500 million at a price of over $1.05. They'll either do it at $1.05 or they'll do it at a lower amount. And yeah, you can imagine that's a lot of dilution. And in a sense, there's kind of like, when you look at that, you go like, how can that be right? How, for people buying right now at $3, why would you do that? Why would you do that? But in a sense, there's sort of a squeeze on the stock as well. But the one thing that you have to keep an eye on is the date. They won't be raising this money until January the 23rd. So in a sense, there's a lot of people that are going to be trading the momentum of the stock. But still, the fact that they're going to raise $500 million at $1.05, in a sense, it feels like a red flag. But until you see one thing, until you see the next part of this announcement. So they've issued a $520 million promissory note, and basically it is a deal done with Mr. Duggan and Dr. Zanganier, if that's how you pronounce the name. And who are these two people? Why are they willing to back this company by up to $520 million? But of course, the company's going to pay them back once they do this right offering next month on the 23rd. So, but it's still a lot of money, right? Who are these people? So it's basically the leadership team. It's basically the chief executive officer and the co-chief executive officer, right? So these two people must have a lot of confidence and also a lot of money, right? And you wouldn't be wrong. They do have a lot of money. So Mr. Duggan here, Robert Duggan, or as he also likes to be known as Bob Duggan, has a net worth of $1.9 billion. So that kind of in a sense eases your fears around how does this company finance this, and how does this guy offer to lend so much money? Well, ta-da. This guy's is quite wealthy, and he's willing to put his money behind the company. So that's kind of also what has everyone with a really strong appetite, because this guy is willing to back the company with so much money that you go, he must be seeing something really, really good to back it up with so much money, right? And also here, Mr. Duggan, the beneficial owner of approximately 81% of Summit common stock. So this guy owns 81% of the stock as well. So not only is he backing up with a promissory note right now, in the rights offering, he's going to subscribe for about 80% of this. So he's only willing to put up $400 million. So that's one thing as well. And also Dr. Zanganier, if I apologize if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. And she owns about 6.4% of the stock. So together, they own 87.4% of the stock, which is majority of the stock. So when you consider it, basically, there's actually not that much stock available for trading. Just counting those two people, they're about nearly 90% of the stock. And if we consider the volume that's traded, the average volume usually was about 2.7 million traded. And then now we have basically 96%. Oh, actually, I just realized my head that is blocking the volume. So you can see there, as basically, you get the idea. It's 96 million stock, which is a lot more than that 2 million that's traded on average. And if we do the value, basically 3 times 96 million, we'll round it to 100 to make math simple. That's about $300 million in stock traded, which is about half the market cap right here, as you can see. In the market cap side of things here, if you can see that, I'll highlight it. So that's one thing. Over half the company value has been traded, because we're only considering the market cap now after it's risen to $3. But remember, the stock was at $2 previously, so it's in a sense more than half of the value of the company. So how does that work? Well, basically the stock's been rinsed a lot of times. So in a sense, there's sort of a squeeze where traders take profit, someone else buys it, someone else sells it, someone else buys it, and they keep pushing it up and up and up and up and up and up. So as you look at the trading day, overall it started off really mellow, and then boom, the stock just jumps up because there's just really low liquidity. And the question is, will this continue? In a sense, highly likely. It either gets sold down heavily, and then it'll be brought up heavily as well. So hence why this stock is actually a perfect trading stock for someone who just wants to get into a stock that's momentum. But also, if you're following the leadership team and you believe what they believe, then potentially there is something serious going on as well. So Robert Duggan here, if you look at his Wikipedia page, this guy actually made his name in this area with a company called okay, not great with my pronunciations this morning. Okay, Cyclics. So basically, this guy was buying stock around $1 to $3 back then, and then he managed to sell his company to AbbVie for $261 per share in 2015, which was valued around $21 billion. He received $3.5 billion from the sale from AbbVie, which is interesting because Forbes has his value and net worth at $1.9 billion. So we don't know where his money's gone. Or maybe the info is actually not as accurate, or maybe there was a lot of debt that he owed that he needed to pay back. But either way, this guy's been there, and he's actually been very successful in terms of pharmaceuticals, and also it was also to do with cancer therapies. So this guy actually knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about in a sense, because he's been there, he's done that, and it's also with cancer therapies. So this deal with Summit and Akeso is also for cancer antibody. Well, it's for a antibody that's effective on cancer anyway. So that's the thing that you really have to take an eye on. Akeso is also a publicly listed company in Hong Kong. So you would have thought, hey, Akeso probably would have jumped up quite a bit if they're getting paid so much. They're getting paid up front $500 million and up to another $4.5 billion on milestone payments. And they also get a low double-digit royalty as well. It turns out the stock actually didn't jump that much. Well, it has actually, in the sense that, hey, in May, it managed to jump up. It managed to double, basically, in May. It hasn't in the last few trading days, but I guess they've already announced their news a lot earlier to the public in terms of their breakthrough antibody. and the markets has been pushing the stock up over time. In a sense, $32 billion for a Keso, considering what they have, is fairly cheap in a sense. So it's definitely, in a sense, worth looking at if you believe what they have is true and promising, right? Because one thing is, well, these guys, they have not actually, they still have to do a phase 3 clinical trial. So boom, that's one's like, what? It's like they've got a promising antibody, but at the same time, they've got to do a phase 3 clinical trial as well, so those results aren't conclusive. I saw that, and I sort of had a red flag around it until I saw the leadership team, and I was like, hey, the CEO is willing to back this company by so much money, so either this guy already knows what he's seeing here, and he's like, yeah, like, he's not wrong, he knows what he's seeing here, and he's willing to back it up with a lot of money. Same with the co-CEO as well. She's willing to back it up with what she has as well. Like, that's pretty insane, right? They're both willing to back this company, and it's basically, they were granted as a breakthrough drug therapy, and basically, yeah, they haven't done a phase 3 clinical trial, but apparently there's a lot of conviction by the management team that they're willing to put their money behind it, which is really convincing in a sense. So hence why it's a company that I will pay attention to. I don't know if I wanted to buy into the stock, but it looks incredibly interesting, particularly with the management team. I don't think there's a rush because remember in January, these people can buy stock at about $1. So, or even less. But looking at the stock price, it's going to be $1.05, and basically there's going to be a good bit of dilution, and the stock will be traded down. But at the same time, the market cap is in a sense fairly cheap, because if they know what they have and it actually goes to plan, this company could be worth many multiples of billions of dollars. So then we've got a problem here where we go like, it seems like a really strong opportunity, but are we looking at a very overvalued stock? And that's kind of one of the things that we're kind of meeting in the middle of the road and wondering, because hey, this guy, if you read through his Wikipedia page, he's done that. He's been very successful in what he's done, and I guess he's not going to just throw money away, and he's taking a massive punt. So we read basically his history, as you can see. Okay, actually there's a wealth history here. Apparently in 2016 his wealth was at its peak of $2.7 billion, and over time it's kind of dropped. So, in a sense, that's one thing to be cautious of, a billionaire whose value has dropped a fair amount over time. So maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about all the time, but, there's a benefit of the doubt that, hey, whatever this guy's seeing, he's seeing something that he believes in, that he's willing to put up so much money on there. I'm going to watch the company over time and kind of do a bit more research, but I thought it might just be interesting to at least post something about this company, what's going behind it. I was going to post a video on it yesterday when the stock popped up to about over $2, but I didn't have but I couldn't find that time. But today's the same, but of course the stock's jumped up from over that $2 to over $3 now, and potentially the stock could continue upwards. So we don't know where the stock's going to end up precisely, but for a company to sign an agreement to say we're willing to pay you $5 billion for what you have, even though you have not completed a phase 3 trial, that's incredible confidence. Incredible confidence. The company's also based in China, which was originally a red flag of mine, because I was like, you're trying to license a therapy that's been trialed in China, and you're trying to convince basically the US, probably the FDA, that you want to use it here. Well, what you want to use it in Japan, US, Europe, and all those countries. Are they going to be that convinced? are they going to require you to do also extra trials, which requires a lot of time itself, which also at the same time stock's going to drop. So there's a lot of kind of questions around that, and hence why you don't necessarily want to just like dive into the stock without understanding what you're getting into, how long this time frame could take. And at the same time, this guy's also not in a rush to do anything too rash. He might, he knows potentially that, hey, every country's gonna want more data on this, more data from probably local trials as well. And that makes sense, which again is a really long-term kind of play, which could take many months. Basically, it could even take years before they. But at the same time, this company could also turn into $1 billion company. So it's a really risky stock, but one that could potentially pay off in a big way. Particularly if we go by what the leadership team is believing in this anyway. I'll keep you posted on anything that comes up. And if you got any questions or comments, post below. Until then, I'll see you next time.